Hi, hello, this is Farid from FKP Institute of AI. Somehow in my last video got a problem, so I'm continuing in this video. So in my last video, like we are almost done taking the meaning of what is clustering. Now let's see like what are the algorithms available in machine learning to perform the clustering. So there are some famous algorithms. Let me spell those. So K means fuzzy, and hierarchical clustering algorithms are available to perform this task. And if you look at my fourth figure here, so you can understand that like this is something different, right? We cannot separate it with a single line, right? So this kind of data we call it as a non-linear data. We cannot separate with a single line. So to classify or to predict something on the nonlinear data, also we have algorithms in machine learning. Okay, so let's check like what are the limitations of machine learning. So machine learning works well when you have a less amount of data. You cannot give GBs of data as training data, as input data. Okay, if you give a huge amount of data as input, the models take a lot of time to get trained. And the machine learning models will give accuracy at up to one certain point. After that, if you increase training data, also the machine learning is not going to increase its accuracy. Though actually machine learning models will go to at one saturation point. After that, like it will not increase. They won't increase the accuracy. And one more important thing to note here is machine learning algorithms only works with numerics and string data, and we call in data science as categorical data. So machine learning it will not work with images, videos, or text. I mean text in the sense of sequential text. Any language what I'm speaking, those doesn't work to process. So to process images, videos, sequence data, we have other disciplines. So when we go there, like we will discuss more about them. Now let me go to the next slide. Okay, NLP. So what is NLP? NLP actually, it helps in making systems to understand what was said and what was given as an input and helps to respond. So NLP is a branch of AI. To implement this language processing, I mean understanding the text and getting the meaning of it and responding it accordingly, to make systems understanding the language. NLP is also rich of algorithms. So we are meaning like using algorithms we can implement the NLP in our machines. So let's see what are all the applications which build on top of NLP. Machine translation, yani language translation. So recently, I think last month, previous to the previous month, Microsoft has launched a human hologram. So what that hologram does, it can speak any language. If you speak in English, it translates into whatever the language you choose. Meaning that particular system, they have implemented a model and I mean it got trained in the grammar of those languages. Okay, and other application is speech recognition. So it helps a lot in avoiding clicking, selecting the text and typing a lot of text from our keyboards. So like you can take Siri and Google Assistant as an example to for speech recognition applications. And using NLP, we can perform the sentiment analysis. We can process the text which is coming from in the form of comments from Facebook, YouTube, and we can perform the text analytics, and we can identify whether the customers are how the customers are feeling with the with the video or with the post somebody posted on the social media websites. Now question and answering systems, like again we can take Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant an example. They are already implemented with NLP. And another application is chatbots. Nowadays every even a small company is having their chatbot, and it will be able to answer some already pre-trained questions. So let's look into what are the algorithms which helps implementing language processing. And we have basically like there is an algorithm called LDA. We call it as a latent Dirichlet algorithm. And there is an algorithm called LSA, a latent semantic analysis. Actually, they helps in topic modeling. Topic modeling in the sense, you have a lot of news on the web. If you apply LDA, any latent Dirichlet algorithm, it separates. Okay, these are all the news from trading. These are all the news from movies. These are all the news from politics. Likewise, it separates the text. It separates the documents on the web. This kind of mechanism we call it as a topic modeling. It doesn't respond. If you apply LDA, LDA is meant for actually topic modeling. It separates the documents which are coming from the web to say like these news related to politics, these news related to movies, these news related to trading. Okay, so and there is advanced algorithms in NLP. Those are called word embeddings. So word embeddings is a revolution. It helps to understand the meaning of the statements, statement what has given as an input, and respond in the same context. Okay, inside it is using bag of words, and it is using skipgram kind of algorithms. And what these algorithms does is they hold some of the words which are recent words in the statement, and based on that they respond. Right? Generally, we as a human respond to the people for the statements what he has recently released, right? The same kind of logic has implemented in NLP word embedding algorithms. Those helped us, to respond to the users in real time. So same logic is in speech recognitions, same logic in chatbots. Maybe the way of inputting data is different. Okay, in one case, speeches, sounds are going as input. The other case, like text is going as input, but response is same. Response actually it is giving like whatever the format we want. But internally, what's happening is it's processing the text. It's by memorizing previous few words coming from the input, and it's applying algorithms, and finally it is responding. Okay, I think this level of explanation is enough to understand what is NLP at the higher level. I am not going into the detail at this moment. Okay, now let's go and see another interesting branch of AI, time series forecasting. Time series data is different from natural language processing or numbers data, right? So the time series data, what it will have is, it has KPI figures, meaning what is the demand of stock, what is the sales of a company. Okay, it basically like all those KPIs are time indexed. So the same logic here will be used. What is that logic? Logic is, when we are asking it to predict into the future by analyzing the past, it takes some previous data and try to find out patterns in it. Accordingly, it will produce the result. Okay, so suppose if we have taken some action in the business, so we could see, basically like we could see that in terms of numbers when it displays in stock market. So actually the graph should increase, right? So there are, to process the time series data, also we have algorithms like ARMA, yani auto regression, and MA. If we expand it, say moving average. So ARMA, ARIMA, ARIMA-X, SARIMA-X, and VAR models helps us to process, to help us in predicting into the future when we give time series data as the input. Okay, now let's go to another interesting field in machine learning. It is computer vision. So it is emerging field. It helps in recognizing the images and understanding the visual world. Meaning, like as we humans, computers is also going to understand the images and environment. See, as a human, we will identify, hey, she is my mother, he is my father, he is my brother, something like that. He is so and so James, he is so and so Fred, right? So computer vision is a branch of AI. It helps basically like it helps in recognizing images and segmenting it and tracking that, like where that image is, how far it is, how fast it is coming closer, and what is the background of that image. So I think you have already you might have already noticed in Facebook and other social media websites. So when you look at the photo, you are never specifying. Okay, so it identifies automatically who are all there in that photo. Your friend names also listed there, and the background also listed there. A man is swimming in the lake. A person on the bicycle. Like you might have seen the tagging. So tagging helps a lot. So that photo and recognizing the objects and tagging it. This logic helping to bring the images very faster when we search for something in the Google. And you might have, I don't know whether you have gone through this or not. In our mobiles, there is an option from Amazon that is called Amazon Lens. If you give one photo as an input, and it brings the similar photos out, similar images out, right? That is also an invention from the computer vision. And of course, the limitation what we have seen in case of ML, the same applies. The limitation is they allows a less amount of data as the input. Even computer vision also does the same, and even NLP with machine learning also allows less amount of data. And time series forecasting on ML, it also allows less amount of data. It works well if the data is less. Okay, so this computer vision basically it works well with a less amount of data. How come we will have less amount of data? Because they are images. Images actually they make a huge amount of data, right? Okay, so the computer vision basically deals with less amount of data. Less in the sense like not too less, okay? It should be a meaningful data. It is helping, this branch is helping us to detect the objects in real time and tracking. So to detect something in the real time and tracking, we don't need a lot of data, right? So what we need is already a trained model. After that, you are giving objects as an input, so it is figuring out what it is. So in the same way, how we have algorithms in all the branches, computer vision also has branches. It has algorithms. So famous algorithm in computer vision to detect the objects in real time is Viola-Jones. And there are several other algorithms. They helps us in object tracking. Lucas-Kennedy, Kalman filter, adaptive thresholding. These algorithms helps us to identify the objects, identify the object movements in real time. And there is one famous algorithm, and it is very handy and it's simple to use. That is called mean shift. It's an algorithm. It helps a lot in real time object tracking and in face detections. Okay, now let's go to another important branch of machine learning, that is called deep learning. Deep learning is a field of AI. It is all about implementing, replicating human brain in machines. I know you might have not, you did not understand this. Okay, let me explain something about our brain, okay? I don't know much, in fact, okay? So what I know, how much I need. Okay, so you see, with our eyes, we see a lot of things. I see the sky, I see the clouds, I see the buildings, I see a lot of trees, people moving. Am I analyzing all the time that much of data? No, right? In front of me, my friend was there. I'm talking to him, but the whole visuals are going as input from my eyes. And here is in my brain, like there are in my brain, like we have dendrites. These are the input receptors. They take whatever the visuals I take as an input with my eyes. After that, that information will send to the neurons. Okay, in our brain there are billions of neurons, and they are all connected. They are all connected. So whatever I see, that data is going to the neurons, not one neuron. It may be going to hundreds of neurons, thousands of neurons. They process. They apply some functionalities. We don't have name for it, and then they submit the result of that outcome of that neuron's previous neuron, and it will go as an input to the other neuron, and it performs some functions. So finally, in that moment, at the end, our brain will come up with a response. Okay, so the connection between neurons, we call it as axiom. Okay, so the similar logic is implemented in deep learning. Okay, so this is how the deep neural network looks like. These are all the inputs. These are all the input nodes. Once we give the data, and they'll go to a lot of neurons, and these neurons, what they do, they remove the data which is not required for the subject. Okay, and it keeps only the data which is really required to perform the action, right? Okay, so it filters out unnecessary data on the small amount of data which is required from the gigabytes of data. They learn and they respond. See, the limitations what we see for in machine learning and in computer vision. So the limitation is like they don't work with a huge amount of data, right? So if you look at the computer vision, it requires already trained model. So trained model, like we need to train a lot, then only so the machine will identify, hey, this is car, this is truck. So we need to train with a lot of data. So the training happens on this platform, on deep learning. How deep learning is handling huge amount of data. Okay, deep learning will be performed. We cannot perform deep learning on our machines, on our PCs, on our desktop. Up to certain level we can do it. Okay, so to perform the deep learning tasks, we need systems which should have like a huge memory, and it should have a lot of compute. So that's why, alongside our traditional CPU, the machine should have GPU, or if required, TPU. Okay, so GPU, any graphics processing unit, and TPU from actually it's from Google. Okay, tensor processing unit we call. Okay, so So we need high-end machines to perform the deep learning tasks. Okay, let me summarize now. Okay, in machine learning, we are solving problems like planning, classification, grouping, not only on the linearly separated data, separatable data, and we can do the same tasks on a non-linear data which doesn't follow certain pattern, right? And using NLP, we can understand the words, or we can understand the speech and respond back. Using time series forecasting, we can predict something into the future based on the previous values on time series data. Using computer vision, we can process all the visuals we see around, even from cameras or in real time, or from videos or from photos. Using deep learning, we perform operations on huge amount of data. If we take the data which is really required to understand what's happening and to respond, right? This is what deep learning does. So all these operations are the functions of a human, right? It is, now you will say, like, hey, all these branches are covering all the functionalities of a human does, except eating, sleeping, watching movies, resting, right? So yeah, it's true, guys. Machines can do more accurate and more functions, and in a fast pace than humans. Okay, I'm stopping this video here, and let's continue in part 3. Thank you, and stay tuned.